guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
All right, as I was cracking my eyes open, just starting my coffee to get the fog out of my mid-aged brain, which, you know, I drink so much coffee. I was going through the YouTube thing and the thumbnail, I guess that's what they call it. I'm learning the hip talk. Dudley Do Wrong said, Anderson's a Dolphin, paraphrasing, and is Davin Cook next? I just had a laugh. So, I do my researches, checking it out, and Robbie, now to call the chosen, Anderson is a Miami Dolphin, and that's hilarious. I mean, in a positive way, in a crazy kind of way. You add Robbie Anderson, who's a true deep threat, with Hill, Waddle, Wilson, Easy, and Berrios. This is clearly the most dynamic and talented receiving group in the NFL, fastest. And it's going to be hilarious to watch defenses trying to deal with this. Everybody's going to be on ice skates, playing over coverage. I'll get into that. It's a great signing. It's a really, really, really great signing. Now, no signing is perfect. There's positives and negatives and everything. No, the deal is that you want to get the most positives and the least negatives. And this really, as the player, bring him in here, is pure positive for the song and the dance. They got him. So I'm going to dig into that and tell you why it's hilarious. It's crazy. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I really don't, but I think it's going to be pretty fun no matter what. And then I'm going to go into the Dalvin Cook thing. I know, maybe he could be a Dolphin, maybe. It's always a possibility. I think, though, more the story behind Davin Cook is that if he gets released prior to the draft, you're going to have Rodgers and Cook going someplace and swinging the power structures and the power levels pretty dramatically. And then you get the awesome draft. So, you're going to have an hors d'oeuvre for the unbelievable draft that's going to be totally fun. Because we don't know if Rodgers is definitely going to the Jets. It might seem that way, but till it's done, it's not done. And so that's going to be exciting. And then the draft's going to be really, really exciting. But Cook going someplace in the AFC is very, very big. And I'm going to go over the Dolphins and a few other teams and where I really think he's going to go. So that's what I'm going to cover today. Pretty funny. I recorded it once and I was like trying to wake up. I couldn't wake up and do it right. So I went back and grabbed some Aunt Barbara's cheesecake that I'm not supposed to eat. I'm supposed to wait till the end of my sessions, my health sessions here. But I was so giddy over this thing, and I wanted to be giddy when I did it, so I had a nice slab of strawberry cheesecake to set me up to be successful for this podcast and for you. So I want to give you guys a shout out. Shout out to you and to my sponsor, Ace Per Head, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so it is crazy that he is now a Dolphin, and he is our third, fourth, depending on how Wilson flies, receiver. It's going to be brutal for teams to stop this pass game. Now, I do believe Dolphins need some sort of run game. But if you watched my last, podcast or two, I went over it big time. It's more about the run efficiency rather than the run production. You want to have that efficiency high and obviously boost the production. But when you have guys like Hill and Waddle, and now you add in Berrios, you got Wilson, who I got to find out what happened to him last year. I got to go back over it. And then you add in Anderson. It adds so much leverage, pushing guys back into shell coverages, playing over coverage, that it creates space underneath for the short game, which guys like Hill, Waddle, Berrios, and Anderson can drive on. Not so much Anderson. He's more of a vertical kind of guy. But certainly Waddle, Hill, and Berrios. And then even one of our backs coming out. But it also opens up for the run game too, because linebackers, if you notice, they drop deep into that mid zone to get rid of those easy plays we were getting. And then once they drop right away, that opens up space underneath for the run game. And so I do believe we need a run game. But if you got Hill, you got Anderson and Waddle, or probably it's Anderson, Hill, and Waddle, teams are going to be on ice skates like nobody's business. It's going to do so much. It's going to be crazy. I can't believe that you've got this much speed in this offensive receiving group. And, at home, when you're doing the track meet thing, putting guys in the volcano, it's going to be brutal for teams to succeed against us at home early. If there's good conditions, it's going to be brutal for teams to succeed against us in that. It's those weird climate games, the bad, ugly weather games, where it's going to really be a problem. Now, Anderson, he's 29. I read this thing by Josh Hoots. I like this guy. He's entertaining. He brings good information. I like him, man. I really do. Just a little bit from one of his articles. Anderson, 29, spent the first 4 years of his career with the New York Jets before signing a 2-year deal worth $20 million with the Carolina Panthers ahead of the 2020 season. During his first years with the Panthers, Anderson caught 95 receptions, 1,096 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Darn good season. From there, it was all downhill, and the wide receivers' numbers began to fall. He also started to become a bit of a problem in the Panthers' locker room. Last season, before being traded to the Cardinals, Anderson was kicked out of a game for disagreement he had with the Panthers' coaching staff. Anderson spoke with reporters after the game and explained his side of the story, which was, I'm trying to win. It's third down. Why am I getting pulled out? Well, look, receivers are prima donnas. We all know that. It's been that way for a long, long time. The guy's name is Robbie, changed it to Chosen. There's a little bit of narcissism there. It's part of the, job description or whatever. I was never big on receivers. When I played, I liked the offensive line. I got along with them the best. Quarterback a little bit, tight ends a little bit. Never really liked to ride receivers. But when they made those big plays, man, you love them. Receivers are critical. They had this kind of attitude. He was with the Panthers. I don't see that happening when you got guys like Hill and Armstead here. So I don't think this is going to be a problem. I think this guy's going to contribute. I think you're going to see some big plays. He's not going to be a number 1. He's going to be number 3, like I said. But the beauty is Hill and Waddle are kind of guys, these high-strung guys that can pop a hamstring a little bit here, get a little gimp in their step for a couple of games or whatever. You could bring Anderson in, and you're still getting that vertical threat. And so you're going to have Waddle and Hill on the other side, and you're not going to be missing much. The philosophy still can be pressed. And this is great insurance, this is great depth, and this is great impact. There's nothing wrong with this signing. It's, like I said, a 1-year song and a dance. If things don't work out, he wants to be a jerk, you can move off him. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to take some of the fun away that I want to see with this group, but it's not going to hurt you. Now, like I said, the only downside is it's more cowbell. We are really going in for this pass-style offense, and there's nothing wrong with that if the philosophy pays off on the field. If we do get better run efficiency because of the leverage, we do get the production, because we were, bottom third in the league in number of plays, third down offense. If it changes through this, we get that bonus in our run attack, then Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, and the rest are brilliant. And it's not like it can't work. It can work. But will it? That's going to be the key. I think it's going to definitely work through the majority of situations, through the majority of the time. It's a few critical situations where, if we had a little bit more offensive line talent, if we had a little bit better run game, and we could have picked up that first or ran the clock out, or in a bad weather game, relied more on our run attack, then maybe we could say, I don't agree with this. I think, though, that overall, this is going to be so much fun. It's going to have the impact that they intended to be. But in those final notes, is it going to be what they want? I don't know. I am so hypnotized by what this team has done the last 2 years. Last year, I said it was the offensive line and Tehran in the run game. But the diminishment that I expected wasn't exactly what I saw because Hill and Waddle did create such wild leverage. Now, you add a little help to this offensive line. You add in Anderson, which is going to create even more leverage. There is a strong possibility that even with Eichenberg and Jackson, if they don't really fully step up, if everybody stays healthy, we could have wild success, guys. I find this fascinating. I really do. So we're going to have to wait and see. I don't expect us to go in a draft for an offensive lineman. I think it's going to be tight end and something else, maybe running back. I don't know. I definitely think it's going to be tight end. I think D tackle is another one, considering Wilkins and Seal is going to be a big deal to try to keep. I don't see how we can do that. Now, Davin Cook, they're saying he's going to get cut. He's got like a $15 million cap hit. They can get rid of him pretty safely prior to the draft. And I think Vikings are clearly moving off Cousins. They're moving in another direction and moving in a younger direction. I think there's a high likelihood that he can be cut. Now, he could go to the NFC, go to the Lions. He could go to, because they released they let their running back walk. They paid some other guy, I forgot who it was. Dallas Cowboys. Somebody in the NFC could make a splash for this guy. But I have a feeling he's going to go to the AFC, and it could be the Dolphins. There's an article here by Jake Mendel. The Dolphins are limited with draft capital and ranked near the bottom of the league in overall cap space. Despite general manager Chris Grier's limited flexibility, Miami could swing for a 4-year Pro Bowl or running back in the coming weeks. He could. I mean, I think this is a stretch. It's just like, he could. We could. There's things you could do. There's all kind of things you could do, but there's going to be a consequence of not being able to keep this guy, not being able to keep. We have minus $14 million next year. And so, yeah, if he comes in for a song and a dance, maybe, but I doubt it. And I don't know if that's their philosophy. I think that pushing this receiving group, from what I gather from Chris Grier, his philosophy is don't spend big on running backs, don't spend too big on the offensive line, and spend big on the defense, receiving group, obviously the quarterback, and that's the plan. And it can work. We'll see. This is going to be the year to tell us. Last year, I believe that there was so many injuries, it kind of added a fog of war of what really happened, what was going down as far as the philosophy meeting reality and whether it was a failure or success. I think this year, though, is going to be a clear one, and I'm just interested to see. I think it's just so intriguing, but I don't see Cook being a guy for us, although it's possible. I just don't really see it. I think he could go to the AFC. I think the bigger story, the real story is coming to the AFC. If he goes on a team, he can change things. He's a good back. He's very good. I wouldn't say he's great. They were talking about him floating Hall of Fame numbers. He didn't have the greatest framework in Minnesota. This guy's got talent. He's not a great pass blocker or receiver, but he's got moves. He's bursty. He's got a small space agility. He's physical. Good awareness, really good awareness. I think this guy is very, very good. And he's one of the few guys that can actually uplift an offensive line. Most of these backs, they're products of the offensive line. There's really not much difference to pay, especially to pay big. But this guy is one of them. So I think wherever he goes, if he went to the Dolphins, it'd be crazy with what we got in receiving group. But I think an AFC team that gets him could really take him to the next level because he is so impressive as a runner. Now, I don't think he's going to go in New England. They got $12 million, but they got Stevenson. Browns, they got Chubb. They ain't going to the Jets. They're trying to get Rodgers. They're broke. Bills, there was talk about them getting, but they only got $6 million. A lot of money they need to keep putting out to get this team together. They got his brother. I don't think he's going there at all. I don't see that. Ravens, they're broke. They're not going to go for that. Now, KC, they've got Pacheco, and he's a guy who carried them to the championship. And I think they're going to ride him more. I think they're going to go, what they saw, they're going to go more to a pass balance. And I think they're going to ride with Pacheco. They only got $4 million this year. But just a little side note, people don't realize next year they got $76 million in cap space. That's with Mahomes signed. That is a lot of money for this team to keep retooling. This is going to be a dangerous team for many, many years to come. So I don't think they're going to go in with Cook. Although if they did, it would be very dangerous. They could, maybe they could get him for a good deal, $10 million a year or something. But I don't see that. But man, watch out next year. This team is not going away. Now, the teams that I think is the Chargers and Bengals. Chargers, they've got Eckler. He's a really good pass catcher, but then he's only like $7 million this year, and then he's a free agent. He's 27, the same as Cook. So you could bring in Cook this year. You got $15 million, almost $16 million this year. So you could bring in Cook this year, run with Eckler, and then next year let Eckler walk and keep going with Cook for a year or two. Herbert needs the run game more than anybody, even more than Tua, because he was carrying it all himself, and it's ugly. It was ugly. This team, the Chargers, should be a much better team. They need a run game to help that defense out and to take some heat off Herbert. And they got the offensive lineman. It took a beating last year. A lot of these guys coming back, most notably Slater. But Cook would be a big deal for them. I don't think I see them going for him. But the team I do see going for him is the Bengals. Now you say Mixon, he's a good back. He's getting paid like 14. What is he getting paid? Let me check right here. Yeah, he's getting paid about $13 million now. But if they cut him post-June, they get 10 in their pocket and lose 2.7. So it's like about 7.5 they would get to go put towards Cook. And, Mixon, I forgot about some of his past. Maybe he's getting old timers, maybe just forgot or whatever. But he knocked a woman out in college, missed his first year because of that, because of being that violent to a woman, which is crazy, man. What a bad dude. And then, all right, you have one bad, maybe one, but now he got arrested for battery and verbal assault, and it went away, and then they found an audio of him saying, I'm above the law, and something like, I could shoot you or kill, whatever, some crazy talk. This is not a good guy. This guy needs help. He needs real help. And if you got a year for the first one and you're threatening death and lying to cops and then you get bagged, this is a bad look. The NFL is going to make this guy sit. How long? I don't know, a real long time. But do you want to pay that kind of money to a guy who you could get out of his contract even a little bit more because detrimental actions maybe they can get some money back from this guy. Take that money and go to Cook, who's a much better character. He doesn't have the same skill sets. I think Mixon's a better pass block, a better pass catcher. But I do like Cook better as a runner. Not as big, but you add in Orlando Brown, who they brought in. I think they're serious about protecting Burrow. I think they're serious about running the football. And you don't know when this guy's going to disappear. And you don't know when he's going to do something like crazy like this again. And you're paying that much money? I don't know. To me, if Mixon is out, Bengals take a big step back. They need a guy like Mixon. They need to be pass balanced. They need to feed off Orlando Brown's size and running that football. They need that. And I think that if they don't get Cook in here, a guy who at least who can bring some extra juice to the run game, this could have them take a big step down. To me, they're one of the top 3 teams. Clearly, to me right now, just as far as talent goes, it's the Dolphins, KC, and the Bengals. But without Mixon, I put them down. But you add Cook in there, they reinflate all these possibilities, and they might even take a step higher. So, to me, the Bengals is a team that's clearly going to look for him because they can swap out and get either a draw or bonus when they move off of Mixon and go to Cook. So, that's what I think it is. I don't think the Dolphins, I don't think the Dolphins how can I add him? But if they do, this offense could be literally unstoppable. That doesn't mean we're going to win a Super Bowl or anything like that. But, man, Anderson's a phenomenal deal. I don't think about Cook, but, man, yeah, Cook. Eat some more cheesecake. Anyway, guys, some interesting news. It's a little bit of a dearth period, but I thought this was some real interesting news, at least for the AFC with Mixon and Anderson to the Dolphins. Was totally comical. Anyway, this is Curtis saying thanks for stopping by. I appreciate all you guys do. I really do. Likes, subscribes, the comments, putting up with me. You guys are the best. Anyway, Anderson. This offense is going to be ridiculous in the pass game. Get ready for fun. Gotta say, catch you next time. Be well. See you soon. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.